So when it comes to showing up, we often feel like we have to put on a performance, we have to put on a show, or we have to feel as if we have to shrink ourselves to be seen, when in reality, you have to do the opposite. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. Also, in the midst of this, I will be taking off my makeup during this video because, I find it quite ironic to be all dolled up while talking about performance and how you should just show up as you. This was inspired by something that happened years ago by Nikki Tutorials when she was doing makeup and she did the half on, half off face, where half of her makeup was off and the other half was on to show the imperfections of someone's face or something like that. It was a long time ago. That's what this got inspired by, basically. So yeah, and makeup is something that's fairly new to me, but we'll get into that in another video. Hey y'all, so getting into episode 2 of the series, The Art of Being Seen. If you haven't seen the first episode, you can check it out here. I don't really know what side it'll pop up on, but it's gonna pop up somewhere. Somewhere it'll pop up, you'll see it, and you can check it out. So I decided to create this series to just show up in all of my glory and all of my imperfections, and in hope that it'll inspire other people to show up as well. But this is the start of me showing up online as well as offline, and just being my most imperfected self, my most imperfect self. While, just showing up and being authentic. I had no idea where I was going there, but hey, that's what the channel's about. Imperfection, being human. So we're going to keep that. We're not even going to edit it out. And I wanted to talk about performance and how oftentimes when we feel as if we need to overcompensate for who we are, or we need to show up, it's either in two ways, where we're overperforming or, in a sense, underperforming. And by underperforming, I mean shrinking yourself into the people pleaser, into the yes man, into the reliable friend, coworker, colleague, networker. And there's been times in my life where I felt as if I had to overperform, or where I had to shrink myself, be the people pleaser, be the reliable one, be the yes man, in order to be liked, seen, heard, etc., when in reality, that was something that was hurting me in the long run. So for the longest time, when I was putting myself out there, putting myself in the forefront, whether online or offline, I felt as if I had to perform all the time. I felt as if I had to be this bubbly, excitable person, somebody who was extremely reliable, somebody who was always saying yes to everything and putting myself last, which in turn would, come from childhood as being the easy child, right? And so I always felt as if I needed to be agreeable. I felt as if I always needed to be perfect in a sense and not mess up, not ruffle any feathers, just go along with what other people wanted from me without having any boundaries whatsoever, and just saying yes to everything. Or I would lean into the being overly excited, or overly overly extroverted, when in reality I'm really an ambivert, and I lean more towards the introverted side. I can be extremely bubbly and extroverted when I want to, but at my core I'm pretty introverted. When I realized I didn't have to do that anymore and I didn't have to sit here and perform, I had to rewire my brain to be like, hey, what you're doing isn't really authentic to you, so let's just stop. Let's stop this performance. Let's stop trying to be liked by everybody. Let's stop trying to be this reliable person to anybody and everybody. And it came to the point where I was ignoring my friends, my family, and all of that just to be liked by strangers, liked by people I barely knew, liked by people I didn't really have a strong rapport with. And it just became so exhausting. It became so exhausting to the point where I would get so burnt out, and I was a hermit. I didn't want to be outside. I didn't want to network. I didn't want to collab. I would take long behind breaks because I was just overexerting my energy just to be liked by people. And since I was holding on to that dream of wanting to be liked so badly, wanting to be seen so badly by other people, I ended up not having any boundaries, dismissing my own values as a person, and just letting anything and everything slide. I just allowed people to like disrespect me and lacked a lot of like confidence and all this, that, and the third. And then I would just wonder, like, how come these people aren't showing up for me? I'm showing up for all these people, but they're not showing up for me. And I realized I'm putting on a performance for, I guess you could say, the wrong audience. For me, it was last year that I realized that I was performing. When things were going left when I wanted them to go right. And by things, I mean just losing friends left and right, just like not being my most authentic self, to where I realized that the people I was hanging around were people that I didn't really want to be around for real. And I had to sit down and be like, what the heck am I doing? What is all this for? Who am I really? And so with all of that reflection, with all of just being in hermit mode and just being burnt out, to be honest, I've learned that performing is just not for me. Performing shouldn't be for anybody. And that, honestly, if you want to show up, the best person to show up as is you. And for me, showing up is this. I don't have to be overly excited. I don't have to be overly bubbly just to be liked by people. If people don't like me because I'm not like overly excited all the time 24/7, then I'm just not for them. I'll have my moments of being excited and bubbly and things of that nature, but I'm not like that 24/7, because holding on to that aspect is very, 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 very exhausting. And with those lessons and with, losing those connections that I thought were my best friends, or like my diehard friends. First of all, I had to stop treating everybody as if they were my best friend. I had to put everybody in their respectable categories of acquaintance. Then there's that blurred line of like acquaintance friend, like friendly acquaintance. Then there's close friend. Then there's like best friend. I was trying to put everybody in the category of best friend, when in reality, I have my core true friends, I already have them. I already have that type of community. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to build upon the community that you already have. But I had to realize that it doesn't happen overnight. It's not a quick thing. Not everybody's going to be your friend. You're not going to mesh with everybody. And that is okay. And I had to realize that me performing isn't going to bring me my authentic crew. It isn't going to bring me real friendship. And as somebody who is a recovering chronic oversharer and would just overshare like crazy, because I felt as if I needed to overly perform or overcompensate just to quickly make a best buddy, quickly make a friend, I started to blur the lines between who I actually am and who I thought these people wanted me to be. And so when it comes to being your most authentic self and you've been in that performance loop for so long, it's really hard to get rid of that part of you that's always been performing, that's always been afraid to show up as the real you, because you may feel as if people aren't gonna like me for me. People are going to think I'm weird. People are going to judge me. But at the end of the day, who cares? Who really cares? If they like you, they like you and they'll stick with it. And if they don't, keep it pushing, keep it moving. Because there's always going to be somebody out there that you will add to the community that you already have. And they'll be rock solid. And if they're not rock solid, move accordingly and move them towards acquaintance, friendly acquaintance, but that close friend, best friend, they don't need to cross that. And this also can be applied to networking too, keeping things strictly business. Because for me, I used to want to blur the lines between business and friendship, making every networking opportunity my buddy, my friend, I can be there for you if you need me. Like, I'll always be there for you, always being the yes man, when in reality, business is business and it just needs to be business. If a friendship grows out of that business connection, congratulations, you've gained a new friend. If it doesn't, congratulations, you gained a new networking partner. And that's that. So how exactly do you show up authentically when you've been performing for a very long time? One, start with low stakes authenticity. That means basically, instead of bearing your heart and soul and oversharing like I used to do, yikes, to anybody and everybody, you just start very, very, very small with, man, I actually don't know that. How can I learn more? You know, if you don't know something, be like, I actually didn't know that. That's so interesting. How can I learn more? When it comes to showing up, we often feel as if like, oh, we have to know everything. We have to be a know-it-all and just like not make any mistakes, or feel as if we're not coming off as intelligent or whatever that may be. But it's okay to not know something. And it's okay to ask somebody who's a little bit more experienced than you to be like, hey, I didn't know that. Can you teach me a little bit more about that topic? You know what I mean? Or low stakes as in, if you're really insecure about your laugh, or somebody has always said something about your laugh and it made you not like it, and somebody says something extremely funny one day, laugh like there's no tomorrow. Have the best laugh you've ever had because your laugh is really cool. And if people find it weird, oh well, show up anyway, laugh anyway. Life is too short to not laugh. And for me, my low stakes authenticity was just showing up a little bit more honest every day. Because then when you're honest and you're owning up to your imperfections, owning up to your mistakes, or just showing up in general, you're teaching your nervous system that the world is not going to explode when you are being authentic and being real. The world will allow others to gravitate to your authenticity when you show up in the smallest way possible. Not small as in like show up shrinking yourself, but you take baby steps to show up as your most authentic self. And then the universe, God, whoever you want to call it, puts you in spaces to where people rock with that. Number 2 would be pay attention to what is draining versus energizing. And this is something that I am still working on, especially with my ADHD. Shout out to being medicated now. Haha. But I would often see everything as an opportunity to put my hands in, to put my energy in. And it became really draining after a while. So I had to sit back and realize, okay, so this thing is draining me. I don't want to do it anymore, so I'm not going to do that. This thing actually energizes me, so I'm going to keep doing that and keep being energized. For example, I have another account called Your Support Plug YSP, where I go ahead and, interview people about, their story, why they started creating the things that they create. And I would put that to the forefront and just interview after interview after interview after interview, to the point where I started to be really drained by it. And I just stopped because I was putting so much energy in it, and I didn't really know I could stop, or I felt as if I didn't keep going, that people would think I was flaky, or they'd think I wasn't reliable, and all these other things. It made me realize, is this really energizing me? How can I redirect this energy to where it can feel authentic again? Sometimes you can take breaks, you're allowed to take breaks when it comes to things that used to energize you, but then it became draining. You're allowed to take breaks from those things. So being able to differentiate what's draining you versus what's energizing you is extremely important when it comes to your authenticity. So right now, videos like this is something that's energizing me. And so the more that I am catering to myself and filling my own cup and doing things that bring me joy, the more I will be able to have energy to go back and be able to do Your Support Plug YSP again. The last tip I have is anchoring yourself in values rather than validation. So when you're anchoring yourself in validation, you're doing anything and everything you can to be liked by anybody. Doesn't matter who it is. You're always trying to be liked by somebody. You're always trying to be like, oh my gosh, what can I do to get them to like me? What can I say so I don't step on any feathers, don't step on any toes is what I meant to say, and don't ruffle any feathers. But when you are coming from a space of values, you're able to be more aligned in your authenticity. For example, what I would do is write down 3 things that I value and practice each one of those values for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, instead of trying to pile all 3 of those values into one and then try to stick to all 3 of them at the same time. All of this stems from just trusting yourself and making small promises to yourself. And it's something that's still a little rocky for me, because I would often, again, try to make promises to other people, but then not keep them because I wasn't following through or making promises to myself. So with writing those 3 values, an example of something that I value is my alone time now. I used to be super duper available for anybody and everybody, to the point where I did not value my alone time. I was often showing up in spaces exhausted. I was often showing up in spaces where I allowed people to run over me and basically disrespect me, and I didn't really have the energy to even stand up for myself, so I allowed it to happen. So now I definitely value my alone time. Focusing on that alone time for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month brought about that discipline that I needed in order to show up better to the world, because I realized that I was exerting so much energy that I couldn't even show up for myself, and not showing up for myself meant I'm not showing up for other people either. So we're all losing. And when it comes to picking out those 3 values, you got to ask yourself, are these something that I truly value within myself, or am I just doing this for approval and to get accolades and to get claps from people, Because again, this isn't for validation. At the end of the day, it's for you. And, when you want to show up as your most authentic self, you got to get rid of that performance aspect of you. So at the end of the day, you don't have to perform to be seen. The performance era is over. The performance era is done. And we're leaning more into the messy side of authenticity, the imperfection side of authenticity, the humanitarian side of authenticity, just being human overall and understanding that we're not perfect, we never will be perfect, and that we are going to fall short and make mistakes often. But if you get up and learn from those mistakes and move forward, which I have a video about that, you can check it out over here. Once we move forward and move past that, then it becomes easier and easier to show up as our most authentic selves. So I hope you found this video helpful, and I hope that you are able to show up a little bit more authentically each and every day. And the question that I have for you that you can answer in the comments is what parts of you are you hiding because you think it has to be perfect first? Go ahead and leave a comment. Let me know. We can have a discussion. And I will see y'all in the next episode of The Art of Being Seen. Bye.